Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. FPL Consult here, and in today's video we have my Game Week 26 transfer plans. Double Game Week 25 is still not over. There are still a couple of games to go, but so many teams have already played. There's so much that we've learned, and also I want to share with you guys my thoughts going into Game Week 26. So that's what we're gonna do in today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoy it, and if you do, please do drop a like. Please do subscribe as well. And let's have a look first at how Double Game Week 25 is getting along for my team. So at the moment, I am on a small green arrow, up about 10k places to 92k in the world. So I'm happy with that. In terms of the game week score, this is a game week where I think if you have a low score currently, it's nothing too much to worry about because a lot of the big hitters, a lot of the highly owned players did not really return. Players like Isak, for example, blanking there. Other players that a lot of people had, like Clivert, for example, only coming away with 1 assist. Aside from that, no real clean sheets other than Flecken and also Arsenal, but we'll speak about it in a bit. But yeah, basically a very low scoring game week overall as it stands. Obviously, I'm recording this before Liverpool have played Wolves and also before Liverpool's second fixture for the double game week, which is Aston Villa. So still more games to go, as I've mentioned. But at the moment, if you're sitting on a low score, it's not too much to worry about. I have 35 points, which is 6 points above the game week average. And a game week average of 29 points after 8 teams have played is pretty low. So it gives you an indication that this is likely going to be a low scoring game week. Aside from that, in terms of the players who returned for me, this was really a week where clean sheets would come away with a lot of rank gain. So Flecken there with 9 points was a player that honestly, when I saw the Verbruggen 11 pointer on the bench, on the first game of Game Week 25, I was like, maybe I made a mistake. I could have started Verbruggen, but the truth was that I was never going to start Verbruggen against Chelsea ahead of Flecken against West Ham. So as things panned out, Flecken eventually did keep a clean sheet against West Ham, though that was quite tense towards the last few minutes, but he did come away with a clean sheet. He also came away with 2 bonus points as well, so that's very, very nice. And as I'm recording as well, I've just checked that Verbruggen has dropped to 10 points because he's been docked 1 bonus point. So overall, in terms of that particular decision, not too much of a difference. And Flecken getting 9 points gave me quite a bit of rank. Gabriel, 6-pointer there, but a lot of people have Gabriel already. Some people even have double Arsenal defense, so they probably have Raya as well. That also worked out well because Arsenal kept a clean sheet against Leicester. Aside from that, nothing too much to shout about in my team. A lot of players blanked. Kirkes didn't manage to hold on to a clean sheet. Rogers blanking against Ipswich. Mbumo 3-pointer. Palmer 2-pointer. Isak didn't do anything much against Manchester City. And then Vissa put the ball in the back of the net twice, and it got disallowed twice as well. I compared it to someone like Chris Wood, who is a major rank killer for me, and he scores from a deflected shot. So I think sometimes this is, I guess, the kind of luck in FPL where, you just need something to go your way. And for those who have Chris Wood, I think despite it being a deflected shot, the overall decision to keep him in your team as him being a good FPL asset to hold on to still pays dividends. And yeah, kudos to those of you guys who had Wood. I had Arteta, and against Everton, he did have quite a number of good chances. But to come away with 7 points and being on 1 bonus point, it gave me quite a bit of rank as well. So overall, because not a lot of players returned, and those that actually did were quite big differentials for me, like Arteta and Flecken, I am sitting on a green arrow. So let's see what happens as we go along with the Wolves game for Liverpool and also the Aston Villa game that will come up midweek. Aside from that, speaking about the assistant manager for those who have it on Emery as well, no one expected that against 10-man Ipswich, Aston Villa couldn't win that game. So that was pretty unlucky, but at least you still have that table bonus game, albeit it's against Liverpool. So we'll see what happens. For now, Game 25 is looking like this. Drop your scores in the comments down below. If by the time you're watching this, you've already watched the Liverpool-Wolves game, let me know how many points you're sitting on. I'd be keen to know. If not, let's have a look at my Game Week 26 team. So looking at game week 26, this is my team without any transfers made. I have 0.2 million in the bank and I have 2 free transfers. The assistant manager chip will still be active for my team. This is the last week that it will be active, and currently it's still on RNA slot, but I'm pretty sure that I won't be keeping it on him because he has Man City away in game week 26. So that being the case, one of my free transfers is definitely going to be spent on RNA slot, so I do have to factor that in. That leaves me with one other free transfer to address issues in my team if I need to. Now, when I look at my players specifically, Verbruggen has Southampton, Flecken has Leicester away. I can't ask for too much more than these kind of fixtures for my rotating keepers. So at the moment, it's a bit of a benching headache, but I have Verbruggen starting here. Flecken obviously still has a really good fixture, and he could be the one I start, but for now it's Verbruggen. In defense, it's Kerkez, Trent, and Gabriel. Good enough fixtures for Kerkez and Gabriel, but when I look at Trent against Man City away, it's also a decision whether I want to bench him for someone like Robinson against Crystal Palace at home. So again, another decision to be made there, but at least because I have these kind of options, I don't need to spend transfers in these departments. In midfield, I have Rodgers, Mbumo, Salah, and Palmer. So I have no intention to sell Mbumo, Salah, and Palmer. People are starting to get cold feet on Palmer, whether we should be selling him. But I do think that after this Aston Villa game, the fixtures actually do start to get quite good. It includes Southampton as well in the mix. So I'm pretty keen on still keeping Cole Palmer. And honestly, when I look at the other options, like who would I go to, right? So the hope is that Chelsea pick up their form, but I have no intention to sell Palmer. In terms of Rodgers here against Chelsea, I think the form of Aston Villa is quite erratic, and I'm not really certain I can count on someone like Rodgers against Chelsea, albeit Chelsea have been conceding a lot of chances, especially with what we've seen in Game Week 25 against Brighton. So I could very well just play Rodgers here, but if not, the option on the bench that I have that initially I wanted to start ahead of Rodgers was Ahmad against Everton away. But at the moment, based off of the latest reports, it is that Ahmad is currently out for the season, which is a real shame for Manchester United. I'll put the tweet up on the screen right now as I'm discussing this. But basically, Ahmad is out for the season with an ankle injury suffered during training. So unfortunately, that also means that he's not going to be available for me. I do have to spend a transfer on him. But it's a decision whether I need to spend that transfer now, go for someone like a Dango Ouattara, and basically just sub that position in for Rodgers and bench Rodgers instead. So that's basically something that's on my mind in terms of my free transfer that I have to spend on my outfielders, because the other one is being spent on slot. So up front, it's Isak, Wissa, and Mateta. Again, no intention to sell any of them. I know Isak did not do very well against Man City, but it was away from home, and generally Newcastle do struggle away from home. This time it's against Nottingham Forest at home at St James's Park. We'll see what happens there. But again, with the amount of free transfers I have left, I feel no real rush to get rid of players like Isak, for example. So Isak is going to be kept. I have Wissa against Leicester. That's a good fixture for him. Hopefully, he manages to hold on to the goals that he puts at the back of the net and wouldn't be ruled out by offside again. Aside from that, Mateta has Fulham away, so there's a good enough fixture. So there we go with the team for Game Week 26. As I've mentioned, a couple of areas where I will need to spend a transfer. So let's take a look now at the transfer tinkering tool and show you guys what's on my mind in terms of transfers for Game Week 26 and beyond. So this is my team on the fpl.team transfer planner, exactly as shown in the graphic just now. And let's first talk about the transfer that I intend to use on Arne Slot, because I'm not going to keep him in my team. He has Manchester City away. So in terms of other managers that I can go for, when I look at the fixtures, so I scroll on all the way here, in Game Week 26, there's not really any standout table bonus fixtures. Now, one of the first few ones that caught my eye when I was assessing the Game Week 26 fixtures was Everton versus Manchester United. So basically, this was one where if Everton qualified for table bonus, then basically against Manchester United at Goodison Park, I really favour them. But unfortunately, they've done so well under David Moyes that right now they are very close to Manchester United, or maybe even ahead of Manchester United. So at the moment, I honestly don't think that that's where I would go. Aside from that, the other fixtures I did consider for table bonus was Ipswich versus Tottenham. At the moment, Ipswich are looking pretty good as well, but because of their recent performances, they aren't 5 places away from Tottenham as well. Now, aside from that, the ones that really do qualify for table bonus is Leicester against Brentford and also Southampton against Brighton, but I don't really want to count on teams like Leicester as well as Southampton. So the other fixtures really don't interest me. Aston Villa versus Chelsea is not where I would go. Bournemouth versus Wolves. I don't really favor Wolves to do a job against Bournemouth, who are playing so well. Aside from that, you look at the other fixtures: Liverpool against Man City, Forest against Newcastle. So I really don't think I would kind of spend my transfer anywhere else other than Arteta, who's also at 1.5 million. So it's going to be a straight swap from Arne Slot to Arteta, because Arteta has West Ham at home. So I'm pretty certain this is going to be the transfer that I make. It's a very boring transfer, I would say. It's a safe play, but at least it's at the Emirates, and hopefully it's a big scoring game for Arsenal, for Arteta to get at least about 9 to 10 points. I'm hoping for somewhere along that range. And obviously, overall, for the assistant managership, let's see how well Arne Slot also does in game week 25, and then I can conclude overall how many points I've gotten, and we'll see whether it was an effective strategy to play in game week 24 or not. But for game week 26, at least I have Arteta here as my one free transfer on a manager. Aside from that, as I've mentioned, because Ahmad is injured, I need to transfer him out sooner rather than later, so I'm going to look at a couple of options that I'm considering for Ahmad. So in this position, there's really only a couple of players I want to go for, mainly the Bournemouth mids, because they're playing so well. But even among the Bournemouth mids, there are quite a number of options. So Dango Ouattara is one that's on the radar right now because he's done so well of late. Not only that, he's very cheap. He's at 5.1 million. So basically, when I look at this kind of price point, it allows me to make this straight swap with 0.4 million left in the bank. And what I could do is, as I've mentioned, just drop Rodgers down to the bench and start Ouattara against Wolves at home. That does look like a stronger squad to me overall. And again, as I've mentioned, in terms of the other decisions that I'll have to make, I'll keep that to a later time. I could obviously do Robinson in for Trent. We'll see what happens. But at least in terms of transfers, Ouattara in for Ahmad is likely going to be one I'm considering. Aside from that, there are the other kind of Bournemouth mates I really want to go for, but the issue is I don't have enough money for them. So Semenyo is at 5.7, so I am 0.2 million short. If I want to go for Semenyo, that pretty much means that I can't go for Arteta, because this is going to be somewhat of a combination move and I have to look elsewhere. So I'm not really keen on compromising on Arteta. So for the time being, I can really only afford Ouattara, and if I can't afford Semenyo, it basically means I can't afford Clivert as well, because he is really expensive now. He is at 6 million. So I'm 0.5 million short. So for this game week, it's pretty clear that I only do a couple of moves. Firstly, Arteta in for Slot is one that is pretty much locked in. And if I choose to move for a Bournemouth mid in replacement of Ahmad, then this is where I go. Now, there is one other player in this position that I can afford that I've looked at as well, which is, and you guys have guessed it, Ethan Nwaneri, because right now he is, obviously Arsenal have a lot of injury issues, so he is pretty much guaranteed to play most games. And look at the Arsenal fixtures, they are pretty decent as well, right? So let's just, have a look at Ethan Nwaneri as an option. He has West Ham. Yes, game week 27 against Nottingham Forest is not as good as we expect, but basically when you look at the other fixtures against Manchester United, I fully expect Arsenal to do quite well. And then there's Chelsea as well in game week 29 that just conceded so many goals against Brighton, and this is at home. And bearing in mind as well, game week 29 is a blank, so I'm not transferring in a player who blanks in 29, because my strategy is still to kind of navigate game week 29 with free transfers. So he fits into the idea of a player that I want to bring in, where at least the player needs to play in 29. So Ethan Nwaneri, definitely still a player I'm considering, and he is very cheap at 4.5, so he leaves me 1 million in the bank. So I think there are a couple of options I could go for, as I've mentioned, but the main ones that I'm considering are either Nwaneri or Dango Ouattara. So say for example, I go for Otara. So if I make these two free transfers, I'm obviously not going to take any hits here. I'm going to fast forward now to game week 29. And in game week 29, this is going to be a blank for 4 teams. Newcastle, Crystal Palace, Liverpool, as well as Aston Villa. So you see that in my squad already, I have 3 players blanking, and just nice, I have 3 free transfers. So the reason why this is the case is mainly because I had a buffer of Ahmad, who had Leicester in game week 29, and I was going to start Ahmad against Leicester in game week 29. But basically now that Ahmad is not fit and he's going to be out for the whole season, I did the move to transfer Dango Otara in. So that, in a sense, was transferring out a player who has a fixture in 29 for another who does have a fixture in 29. So basically, that transfer that I've made all the way back now in Game Week 26 doesn't really gain me a player who plays in 29. So I will still have 3 players blanking here. And in terms of what I'm likely going to do for this week, I think a couple of ways I could go about this, but the most likely one I'm going to show you guys. So firstly, Mateta out for Chris Wood is one of the plays. Aside from that, I'm quite keen on someone like a Marmoush as well, who's done quite well. The only issue is if I sell Isak, I lose a lot of value in him because I went in when he was about 8.3. He's currently at 9.5, so I'm going to lose quite a bit of value on him. So let's say Isak goes out here, which is currently the plan. Then I bring Marmoush in. I don't think I'll sell Salah. So the next player that I'm likely going to bring in this position is probably Bruno Fernandes against Leicester away. So these are the 3 transfers that I've lined up here for Game Week 29, but obviously that could change. But I just wanted to show you guys what's on my mind. So when I go all the way back to Game Week 26 now, 2 free transfers, Arteta is definitely going to come in, and then it's a decision of whether I want to sell Ahmad for either one of Dango Otara or Ethan Waneri. If not, I could just start Rodgers. But to be honest, I'm not super keen on just starting Rodgers here. So I'm more likely to make that move. It's just a question of whether I go for Dango or Ethan Waneri. If not, there we go for my Game Week 26 transfer plans. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. If you are on the assistant manager as well, let me know who you are going for out of Arteta. If you're going for table bonus matches, let me know which teams you're going for. I'd be keen to know as well. If not, I hope this video was useful for you guys. If you enjoyed it, please do drop a like. Please do subscribe as well. And I am working on a chip strategy video, an updated one, now that Double Game Week 32 has been announced. So I will talk about that in detail in tomorrow's new updated chip strategy video. Keep a lookout for that one. If not, I will see you guys very, very soon. Bye bye.